Hey guys, it's Crazy Comic Lady here, and this is the Draw It Again challenge with my OC, Sarah Jane Stevens. And this is actually one of two pictures that I redo every single year. The first picture that I did was in 2012, and it was just a portrait of just like her head and her shoulders. And it was actually the very first video I ever uploaded onto my channel, and it's still up if you wanted to go and watch it. It's really bad. But yeah, I've just redone this picture every single year since. And I haven't actually made a video of this OC for quite a few years on my channel now. She's my favourite OC, I love her. She was one of the first human OCs I ever created. And a couple years ago I put up a video asking if people would mind not drawing fan art of her. And I didn't expect that video to kind of get the negative response that it did. It got a lot of hate because people thought I was being really rude and selfish and not appreciating my subscribers and stuff, and people felt that I should just let people draw my OC and be grateful for it. And there was lots of complaints that I didn't explain why I didn't like her being drawn. So I thought if I sort of try and explain a bit in this video, at least then it kind of clears things up from that video all those years ago, which I'm sure like no one really even remembers that video now. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to explain because it's like really personal, and that's kind of why I didn't explain before, because I thought it's not gonna go down very well if I explain my reasons behind it. But yeah, this OC, I've told the story of how I created her before. She was originally just a name because I was creating an email address and no one told me, oh, you should use your own name. But I created the name Sarah Stevens because I liked it more than my name. So she became my email, and I think that was in 2000. And then I got really into Yu-Gi-Oh! Into 2004, and I wanted a character that would be sort of like a rival and a love interest for Seto Kaiba. So then she kind of took on more of a shape and a personality and stuff. And back then she was just, she was just an OC. I didn't really have any emotional attachment to her. She was just a character. And then as things changed for me in about 2011, my health took a really bad turn for the worse, and no one could diagnose what was wrong with me. And I ended up extremely disabled, and I couldn't really get out or walk around or leave the house. And because people weren't able to diagnose me, I got really depressed, and I lost a lot of my friends as well, because if you can't go out and socialise, then you find out that people don't really care. So I got really kind of withdrawn and miserable, and then I started involving myself in this character. This character, Sarah Stevens, sort of became an outlet for the life that I couldn't lead anymore. So I created a story for her, personalities, things that happened, friends, and I sort of, because I was so miserable, I made her miserable as well. I made terrible things happen to her storyline. She watches her mother get murdered, and she gets assaulted as a child as well, and she ends up sort of being fostered, and then there's a car crash and she ends up in a coma because her foster parents get killed, and she gets passed around. She has no family, she isn't loved, but she's also brilliant. And anyway, because I made her so miserable, I also started putting aspects of my own life and feelings into her character. So the depression and things that happened, I then put actual details of my life into her character, and things that I don't talk about, things that I did when I was in a very bad place emotionally. I wrote them into her storyline. So things like suicide and the feeling of no self-worth and stuff like that. And those are very personal things for me, and I put them into her story, and she became more relatable for me. She was sort of like a friend and sort of represented the worst parts of myself. But at the same time, she's also represents everything I want to be as well, because she's beautiful, she's petite, she's got gorgeous long hair, she's incredibly intelligent, and she just, I don't know, she eventually things sort of work out, and she realises that you know, she shouldn't judge herself based on other people's opinions, and she becomes better, and she falls in love, and she ends up with a devoted husband, and her life sort of comes together, and she ends up being happy. And it's sort of, I don't know, I became very attached to her because of the whole depression storyline and the aspects of my own life that I put into her story. So when people draw her, they don't realise what exactly she means to me, or her backstory or anything like that. So it's almost like the worst parts of my life are being overlooked, and like they're not important because people have just drawn her without thinking about it. They just think, oh, it's an OC, I'll draw it, rather than, oh, this is a character which has deep emotional meaning to someone, which technically she shouldn't do. But I went through such a bad time of being so disabled for such a prolonged period and without any diagnosis that my OCs were my life for a long time. So I got very attached to them in ways that I probably shouldn't do. And yeah, but anyway, she ends up with sort of a happy storyline until she's brutally murdered at the age of 30, and yeah, she dies in a fire by her slightly psychotic half-brother. But yeah, so her story doesn't actually end that well, but at the same time it's the journey, and she has ups and downs, and that's life in general. And anyway, I hope that sort of explains a little bit about my character and why I'm so protective of her. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope I didn't depress people too much with my explanation. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all soon. Bye!